So welcome, friends, to our full moon practice. We'll be going through an asana that flows from the left side to the right side. So I invite you to stand in the center of your mat, facing one of the long sides of your mat. So the short edges of your mat will be on your left and your right sides. And just root down into your feet here, finding Tadasana, mountain pose. And we'll be moving through a series of poses that are based on the fact that it's a full moon tonight, that full moon is a supermoon, which means that the moon is at its closest distance to Earth in its orbit around our planet, the apogee of the orbit. And so, in honor of that, we're going to be moving through both sides of Ardha Chandrasana, or half moon pose. So two halves make a whole, right? And so, yeah, we're going to be moving from one side to the other, and that's why I've had you set up in the center of your mat. So root to your toes, hands are out by the sides, just a little bit away from the body. Rooting down into the four corners of the feet. So rooting down into the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and both the inside and outside of the heel. And from here, we're going to inhale our arms up, and then exhale, bring the hands down in front of the heart. Inhale the arms up, and exhale the hands down in front of the heart. Now we're trying to keep our back straight here as we pull that energy down, as we pull our hands straight down to the center of our chest. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Inhaling, and then exhale, pull the hands back down, focusing on the space between the hands, finding the thumbs pressing into the breastbone right in front of the heart. Good. On our next inhale, we're going to sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway up with a flat back. Exhale, fold. And we're going to grab hand to elbow here, or maybe just let the hands hang heavy. And we're just going to find a forward fold. Just relaxing in this forward fold, feeling the head being pulled down towards the center of the earth. Good. On one of your next inhales, inhale and come halfway up the flat back, bringing the hands up to the shins or even the thighs here, just to make sure that your back is straight. So we're going to pause here in this half up pose, and we're going to press back with our hip bones. So our hip bones, we want to push back, and we want to pull the crown of our head forward as far as we can. So we're elongating our spine. And then what we want to do, we want to wrap our shoulders back. So we're going to tighten our scapulas together, trying to pull our shoulder blades over top of our spine. Good. Exhale, fold. We're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, come halfway up, and then exhale. Inhale, reach the crown one direction, tailbone the opposite direction, really rolling those scapulas on top of the back, or rolling the shoulder blades in towards the spine, and exhale, come all the way down. One more time, inhaling, coming halfway up, rolling those shoulder blades onto the back, finding length in the spine, and then exhale, fold. We're going to plant both the hands down, and we're going to heel toe the feet out so that we're in a wide-legged forward fold. So that distance is a little different for everyone. Find the one that works best for you. Inhale, come halfway up. Once your feet have found that proper distance, and then exhale, fold. Bring the head down towards the mat. Good. Inhale, come halfway up once again. We're going to turn the left toes so that The left foot is going to be parallel to the long edge of our mat. The toes are facing the short edge, and we're going to walk our hands over to the left. And then we're going to come up onto the ball mound of that right foot. So finding a high runner's lunge on this side. And we're just going to move through a small vinyasa here. So planting the hands down, we're going to step that left foot back, and then come down knees, chest, chin, all the way to the ground. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, pressing up, finding cobra here. Bhujangasana. Trying not to use the hands to support. So the hands can even float a little bit above the mat. We're pressing into the mat with the tops of our toes. Inhaling, reaching through the crown of our head. And then exhale, come down. Curl the toes under. Inhale, push up. Exhale, push back, finding downward facing dog. And 3 full cycles of breath here. Finding rest in this first inversion. Good. We're going to inhale and slowly walk the feet up to the hands. And try not to pause in the breath as we go through these movements. Inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, folding. There can be as many breaths in between the movements as you need. It's just as you move, as you inhale, come up into that half up pose. And then exhale, bring the head, let the head fall towards the earth. There's no effort in this pose. We're not trying to hold the top part of the body up at all. We're planting down through the feet. And from there, we're just basing the hips. So we want the hips directly over the ankles if we can. And from here, as we inhale, come up, feel that strength in the legs and in the hips. And then as we fold forward, we're just pulling the belly button back towards the spine and allowing the top part of the body to be pulled down towards the center of the earth. So the hips are actually holding the top part of the body up. And so we're relaxing this lower part of the back here. We're really stretching it out, allowing the discs to flex in the opposite direction for once. Inhale, coming halfway up. Exhale, fold. Step that right leg back. So we're back on the right toe mound. And then we're going to bring that right heel down to the earth and then walk the hands over just a little bit, planting the left hand down on the inside of that left foot. And then we're going to inhale our right arm straight up to the sky. So finding side angle pose. And again, if your hand, you can be up on your fingertips, you can be up on a block here, just coming to whatever structurally sound form of this pose that you can. But we're always building from the ground up here. So if we need to use a block, we use a block. And I'll show you how that looks. If I was to have a block here, as I came up into my high runner's lunge, I would drop that back foot, bring the block in here, and then post on that left hand first. Then roll the shoulder open, roll this right shoulder open. We're pushing through that side of that back foot. Inhale, reach the arm up. Good. And we're trying to keep this left leg as bent and the hip as open as we can. So we're allowing the hip to roll off to the side so that we can open our body up to the right side. And from here, we're going to come up to Warrior 2. So you can move that block out of the way and then inhale, come all the way up and find your proper distance here. So maybe you found that when you came up, your leg didn't have very much of a bend in it. We want to keep this front leg as parallel to the mat as we can. You're just going to walk your feet out just a little bit until you feel comfortable. So is parallel to the short end of our mat. The front foot, well, our right foot, okay, because I've had you set up sideways on purpose for this practice. So it's going to be a little different. Orientations will make sense. So your right foot is going to be parallel to the right short side of your mat. The left foot is going to be parallel to the long sides of your mat, which are now the front and the back, if you're following along with this practice. And so just making sure that we have as wide a distance as we can, and then making sure that that front heel is lining up with the center of our back foot. So right where the arch would be is where we want our front foot to approximately be in line from our back. And then we're still opening up this left hip. So it's just as when we were down here in side angle pose, we've moved our torso so that our torso is erect rather than down on the side here. But we're still trying to keep length through both sides of the torso, curling the hips up. So as we exhale, the transverse abdominis run in a different direction than most of the other abdominal muscles. They tighten across between the hips. So as we contract those transverse abdominis muscles, which is what we want to do, and contract the rest of the abdominal muscles, we're pulling the rib cage towards the hips. So in that way, we're alleviating. I'll show you this way. There is a possibility that the hips can go back. So when we're in our warrior pose, our glutes are sticking out, is the best way to put it. So what we want to do is we want to flatten that out. So we're using our abdominal muscles to crunch in just a little bit, not too much. But we're pulling our rib cage, the bottom of our rib cage, towards our hips here. And that way it flattens out our back. And our tailbone is pointing straight down towards the ground now. And the glutes, you can still see that they're active, but we don't have the bend in our back. And so moving through this, we're just going to move through this pose and come into our next pose. So inhale, straightening the arms up over chest, and then the hands come out, finding warrior 2. Inhale, straighten the arm overhead, straighten the legs, chest, and then arms come out. Inhale, sweep the arms, straighten that front leg one more. The chest, arms come out to the sides, sink into that warrior 2. And if you've been in warrior 2 this whole time while I've been talking, congratulations. Good. Exhale, windmill the hands all the way down. We're going to come up onto the toe mound of that back foot, come up into high runner's lunge, and then we're going to step our hands in front of us just a little bit, and then we're going to come up either using a block here on our left hand, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So this left hand is to the left side of our body, just a little bit to the left. And then as we come up into Ardha Chandrasana on this side, we're going to roll the right hip up. And then as we roll that right hip up, we may move our gaze up, or we can keep our gaze down towards the ground. And then the last component is to extend that right arm up, and then we're trying to stack the shoulders here. So finding a firm stack in the shoulders, a stacking of the hips. We're pushing through the heel of that right foot, pressing through the palm of the left hand into a block. Good. Slowly bring that right hand down to the hips. Curl that right hip back in, and then bring the block off the mat. Step the foot back. Bring that right heel back down again. We're going to walk the hands over to the right. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. And we get to move on to the other side now. So we don't want to be unbalanced in this one. Inhale, come halfway up. And then exhale, walk the hands over to the right. The front toes will move to the right. Again, we're just setting up for that side angle pose. So again, if we're using our block here, having the block off the side to the side of both of the short ends of the mat definitely help. That way you can just bring them in and step in. Block onto the mat. We're going to firmly plant the hand on top of that block. And then slowly we're going to stack the left hip over the right. And to do this, we're actually pushing the right knee. We're opening this right hip out. So if you would grab onto the underside of your thigh, this hip this way behind you in order to get this left hip to stack. And then that opens up the left side body, and then you can inhale the left arm straight up. And again, you can have the hand all the way down to the mat here, whatever is in your practice. And you can have the hand on the inside or the outside of the foot. Again, we don't want to go too far past. So if where you're at is here, just make sure that you're balancing over this front leg wherever you are, and then you can bring the hand out, just making sure that it doesn't go past the shoulder plane. So we're not trying to reach back behind us with this arm. We're always keeping the shoulder in line with the other shoulder, and the hand is in line with both shoulders as we open up to one side or the other. Good. And then we're going to inhale, come up. Again, find time to adjust here. Finding the perfect Virabhadrasana 2 for you. So if you feel like you can move your feet out a little bit further, maybe your heel could be a little bit closer to the center of the mat so that it lines up with whatever is in your practice. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the palms down. Good. And then we're just going to move through that little flow here. So inhale, straightening the front leg. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of the chest and out. Inhale, sweep the arms up, straightening that front leg. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of the chest and out. One more time. Inhale, straightening that front leg. Arms sweep up overhead, and then exhale, bring the hands down in front of the chest. Arms come out to the sides. And we'll just be here in this pose for just a few breaths. So again, making sure that we're activating our abdominal muscles here. As we're trying to keep our hips parallel to the long side of our mats right now, this right hip or this right knee will want to fall inward. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that right knee is set first before anything else. And that's where that hip is. From here, now we're pushing against that foot, and we're pushing this hip up. Then we're going to open up with this hip as much as we can as well. So we're pushing through the outside edge of that back foot. And that's where we find our stability in this pose. And then we're tightening the abdominals. So we're, again, pulling those bottom ribs towards the hips as much as we can. Biceps are up, palms are down, gaze is slightly over that front hand. Good. Exhale the hands all the way down to the ground. That left toe will come up. We're going to step that right foot back, and we're going to move through a small vinyasa here. So coming down knees, chest, chin, and you can start to come down chaturanga. Bring the elbows close to the body, staying up on the toe mounds or the toes of the back of the feet first, and then switching to the tops of the toes. We're going to inhale, push up, finding upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, and then exhale, pushing back to downward facing dog. Good. Just staying here for 3 full cycles of breath. Good. Looking forward, we're going to inhale and either step or hop the feet up to the hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up with a flat back. Exhale, fold once again. Step that left leg back. Drop that back heel, and then walk the hands over to the left. We'll inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Walk the hands back over to the right. Grabbing that block, moving that block so that we're up on our back, the ball mound of our back foot, of our left foot, and then grabbing the block, we'll move that block in just a little bit past our right foot. And then we can come up, balancing again, pressing through the palm that's on that block. So you might have to bring the block up to the other side. And just making sure that that's stable first. Before we do anything else, we want to make sure that our right foot and our right hand are planted so that we're not going anywhere. Then, once that is accomplished, then we can lift that left foot up just a little bit higher and rotate that left hip over the right. So now we have our left hand on our left hip. The left hip is rotated over the right hip. And now we stack the shoulders. So inhaling that left arm up and then rotating the body open, pressing through that back heel. Good. Really finding length in this pose. So finding length from the crown of the head all the way down to the ankle, to the heel there. Good. Exhale, we're going to bring that left foot back down to the ground, bring that left hand back down, bring that block off to the right side. And then we're going to find that high runner's lunge. Walking the hand over to the left. We'll inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up with a flat back. Exhale, fold once again. And if there's any headstand in your practice, now is the time to take that. So in order to get into headstand, we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up properly. So if you inhale and come halfway up with a flat back, we want to keep this flat back as we exhale and fold forward. So we're only hinging the hips here. We're keeping the back as straight as we can, and then we're going to pull the head underneath the hips. We want to keep the neck straight here and the spine stacked. As the hips shift over top of the head, and then the legs just come up off the ground. And then we point, and then we press through the heels, taking full, even breaths here. Two more breaths. Exhaling, slowly coming back down. Again, walking back onto the feet, releasing the head, and just feeling the release there in the neck. So really relaxing the spine. Don't come up too fast. Inhale, come halfway up, the flat back. Exhale, fold again. Bring the crown of the head down to the ground. But don't put any pressure on it this time. Just allow the crown of the head, to rest on the ground. Allow the back to be straight here. Bring the hands together to touch here, or in a mudra of prayer. You can balance on the elbows. You can come up onto the hands. And then we're gonna slowly step the feet back together here. Inhale, come halfway up with a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach and rise all the way up. Exhale, bring the hands down to heart center and pause. Feeling that breath flow in and out. And then in whatever way you would like, make your way down onto your mat, just making sure that it's a mindful approach. So stay breath here as we move from standing all the way down to the ground. So come one hip or the other. And I'd like you to stay in the same position. So our body is facing one of the long sides of our mat, and the short sides are both off to our left and our right. We're just gonna bring the legs out. So I know it always helps for me to have a wall behind me. I have to move my little Buddha out of the way here. In order to find that straightness of the spine. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our legs wide here, and we're going to be pushing through the heels, but we want to keep our lower back straight, which is sometimes difficult. So a wall helps here, and we're just going to inhale and exhale here for a while, pressing through the heels. So we're making sure that our legs are active here as we're finding this stretch. And you're going to find that maybe you even feel a little muscle fatigue, like in the sides of your medius, your gluteus medius, which is the muscle that wraps around the side of the humerus. So that would be right in the joint, essentially. And so as you're trying to actively use these muscles that we to press legs, right? We're always pressing our legs back or forward, sometimes together, but not very often. But we hardly ever press them out. And so what we want to do is we want to do that. So we're pressing through the heels, and then we're pulling our back straight here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly walk our right hand over to our right leg. So either on the above the knee, below the knee on the calf, or you can walk your hand all the way out to your toes. I'm just going to lengthen through that left side. So inhale the left arm up. While again here, just to lean on as we lengthen through that side. Good. And we want to make sure that when we come out of here, what we're doing is we're rolling our left shoulder down first towards the ground. Bring the left hand down to the ground, walking that back in, coming back up to a stable position again. So finding that stability behind the back against the wall, pressing through the heels again. And then we're going to walk that left hand out down the leg. Again, finding purchase for that left hand above the knee, below the knee on the shin, or walking it all the way out to the toes. But what we're going to do is we're going to inhale that right arm up, and then we're going to roll our shoulder open. And then we exhale and find a little bit more of a side bend, maybe reaching for those toes. Again, we're using that wall to just support our back here as we really stretch out the right side. Good. Exhale, bring that right hand down to the mat, rolling that right shoulder closed, and then walking the left and the right hand back up. And just finding straight back up against the wall, pressing through the heels. So form of Talasana, which is staff pose, but in this form we have our legs pressing the heels out and pressing the legs out. So we're trying to focus on certain muscles here. And these are balancing muscles. They're the muscles that are absolutely necessary for us to balance ourselves as we walk around all the time. Good. Slowly bringing the hands behind the knees. We'll slowly bring the legs together and then bring the soles of the feet so that we're still up against the back. Our back is still up against the wall. We'll bring those heels in as we bring the soles of the feet together, planting the hip bones down into the ground. Inhale and exhale here. And then we're going to inhale the arms up, and exhale, we're going to bring the hands down and fold over both legs here. So maybe you come down to your hands. Maybe this is as far as you're going. And maybe you're up here. Wherever you are, just make sure that you are rooting down through your sit bones. So make sure your back is straight against the wall. You're rooting down through your sit bones. The upper part of your glutes are up against the wall. You're trying to curl. You're activating the abdominals here. So you're exhaling. You're pulling that belly button back towards the spine, and that causes a flattening of the lower back. So that's what we're looking for here, is that flattening of the lower back. Once that flattening has happened, then we inhale, reach up, and we exhale, and we just hinge forward from our hips. So the back is still straight as we're hinging forward. We're keeping the hip bones pressed down. We're keeping the glutes pressed to help us support come down here. Because that's so we want to have the hands down here, pressing to the hip bones, while keeping that straight back. So don't go anywhere past a point where your back starts to round. Just stop there. What we're doing here is we're stretching the insides of our thighs here. We're stretching those muscles that allow the torso to rotate, or allow the leg to rotate on this particular socket, the hip joint. And so we're not using the back. That's not the point of this. And so we're just relaxing into those hip bones, and then we can bring the head down if that's in our practice. We can come down onto the elbows here. Again, you can bring the feet out as much as you would like. Sometimes it's better for people's anatomy to have the feet closer. Sometimes it's better for them to have them away. It's all a personal preference. So choosing whatever distance feels good for you. But what we want to make sure is that we're rooting down through the hip bone. We just want to make sure that we have that connection to the earth, and that we can feel the wall behind us on the top part of our glutes. And then we're, again, contracting the abdominals, making sure that that lower back is straight, inhaling the arms up, and then exhale, folding over these front legs, using the hands to support us as we come down, and then slowly coming all the way as far as we feel comfortable, maybe resting the head in the hands here, maybe resting the head above the knuckles, or you can come all the way down, bringing the head down to the feet, or the forehead to the feet. And again, we're just relaxing here. Good. Pressing into the palms of the hands. We're going to come up with that straight back. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Come all the way up. And then bring the knees together. And find your way down into Shavasana. And I'll do a small Yoga Nidra for everyone. So just for Shavasana, coming down all the way onto your back. Feet are a little wider than the hips. Sides of the feet are splaying outward. Rounding of the spine either. So what we want to do is we make sure that we're just tucking the chin just gently so that we're keeping the back part of our neck open so that we're stacking the vertebra correctly and they are have rounded shoulders because our arms are always forward of our body. So what we want to do is we want to pull the shoulder blades back, allowing our top part of our shoulder to gently reach down towards the ground. It probably won't reach the ground, but the very edge of the collarbone, around the back, you can feel that muscle connect to the outside of that upper shoulder blade there. That's the part that we want to relax down towards the ground. And now I'll do a short Yoga Nidra, and we'll call it a full moon night. So relaxing into Shavasana, taking a deep inhale, feeling the belly rise, allowing the exhale to follow in a natural way. Don't wait for my instruction on inhalation or exhalation. Allow the breath to just flow. And I'll just suggest that you do one thing or another on your next inhalation or your next exhalation, and you just go with your own flow, making sure that you are inhaling and exhaling at a pace that is natural and normal for you, and that you're trying to minimize the pauses between your inhalation and exhalation, and vice versa. So we don't want to have a pause between our inhalations and exhalations. We want them to flow evenly from one to the other, just like the balance, just like everything else that we've been trying to do tonight. It's all about one flowing into the other, flowing into the other. A constant circle, the dance of life. On your next inhale, I would ask you to pause at the very top of that inhale and then take a little bit more breath in. Really feeling that belly rise, feeling the belly expand almost to a point where it becomes uncomfortable. Holding that breath in and then exhale, letting it all out. And then tighten those abdominal muscles, forcing a little bit more air out. And then allow the breath to return naturally. Feeling all of the muscles relax. Feeling the eyes relax into their sockets just a little deeper. And we'll start the body rotation as we always do with the right hand thumb. First finger, second finger, third finger, pinky finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, collarbone, right chest, right armpit, right ribs, right abdominals, right hip, right thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, right big toe, first toe, second toe, third toe, pinky toe, left hand thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, pinky finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, collarbone, left chest, left armpit, left ribs, left abdominals, left hip, left thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, left big toe, first toe, second toe, third toe, pinky toe, both heels, both calves, both thighs, the right glute, the left glute, the right lower back, the left lower back, the right mid-back, the left mid-back, the whole of the spine, the right shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade, the right upper back, the left upper back, the back of the neck, the back of the head, the crown of the head, the forehead, the eyebrow center, the right eyebrow, the left eyebrow, the right eye, the left eye, the right eyelid, the left eyelid, the right temple, the left temple, the right cheek, the left cheek, the right ear, the left ear, the right nostril, the left nostril, the upper lip, the tongue, the lower lip, the jaw, the chin, the throat, the heart, the heart, the heart. Slowly starting to deepen the breath, wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Slowly find a deep stretch, stretching arms long overhead, feet long the opposite direction. A full body stretch, as if waking from a sleep. And then exhale. As you exhale, bringing the knees into the chest, maybe rocking back and forth gently. Slowly coming down onto your right side and pausing here, reflecting on the practice. The mat, and leaving behind anything that won't. Slowly make your way up to a seated position, the way we started class, so facing the long edge of the mat, in a comfortable seated position. And that is how I would like to end practice with you today. Thank Thank you for joining me. I hope everyone is staying healthy, staying active during this time. Enjoy the full moon, everyone. Namaste.